All right. And we're back here on Couch Coach Live, another Wednesday night under lights here on Couch Coach Live, episode 346. What's going on, X? What's going on, Maui?
What's going on,
Shit,
man?
I can't
All right.
complain.
Not at all. Not at all.
Yeah, man.
What's
Same
up with
here.
you,
Just,
Coach?
nothing much, same old, man. Just dealing with the dog days of summer, man. The beginning part of dog days of summer. But everything's good, man.
Yeah.
Everything good. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, indeed. So, got a great show lined up for you tonight. We'll recap Game 5 of the NBA Finals. We'll talk about Tyrese Halliburton's injury, the calf injury. Should he sit out for tomorrow's Game 6? We'll talk about that. We know that the Memphis Grizzlies traded Desmond Bain to the Orlando Magic. What's next for this Memphis Grizzlies team? Should they trade Ja Morant? We'll talk about the trade and also my thoughts of that. And we're gonna debut a new segment where pretty much big deal or no. Basically, three sports stories that kind of like I know we're gonna have mixed feelings on those. We'll discuss that. Those topics range from Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire during a game. We'll talk about that. ESPN broadcasting the starting lineups in Game 5. And then also Angel Reese turns a term to troll her into money. So we'll talk about that, and then we'll round off with our game ball and final thoughts. So what we're gonna do, we'll not take, but what we're gonna do, we're gonna kick that intro here on Couch Coach Live, and we'll be right back. Yes, and we like that. And we're back here on Couch Coach Live. It's supposed to be saying episode 346 here. And we got a great show lined up for you tonight. So, first topic of tonight, we got to talk about Game 5 of the NBA Finals that transpired on Monday night. With the Thunder 120-109 win, the Thunder takes a 3-2 lead. What is your overall thoughts on Game 5? I'm gonna go with you first. X, what you got?
My initial thoughts of the game was it looked like OKC came ready to play, and Indiana just showed up. I think it kind of felt like Indiana had the mindset like we still have another game and we're going back home to play. But in the process of that, Halliburton suffered an injury. So now it's kind of up in the air. I feel like the Thunder can go on a roll and close out Game 6. And if Halliburton doesn't play, I think it's going to happen. Because if you think about it, he was ineffective all game, even before the injury. What I think he took, he took less than 10 shots. So he wasn't aggressive.
Over six.
He scored, 4 points? 6
over
points?
6 shooting. Yeah.
You
Six shooting, yeah.
You can't do that as one of the top guys on your team. And I know from what I've been seeing and hearing from like podcasts and other sports analysts, like Halliburton was in the conversation of was he a superstar or was he just a star just last week? And I think we got our answer in Game 5. He's not a superstar. But then I don't want that to overshadow Jalen Williams' performance because him dropping 40 was major. And then you had Shea follow up with 31, 10, 10 assists, 4 blocks, 2 steals. It's nothing. It was nothing Indiana could do. They just seemed like they was just a step behind. And I don't get. Well, I take that back because I'm gonna give the Thunder their credit on defense. Their half court defense is incredible. They, I really want to see what's Indiana's turnover average in the finals because every game I didn't see, I think they managed to hit the 20 turnover marker. If not, plus I know they've been over 15. And you're not going to win a series. You're not going to win games that way. I think the game one was like false hope, like a false sense of hope. Like OKC turned them over 25 times, and they still managed to chip fight their way back into the game and win on a game winner by Halliburton. But you can't rely on that type of play to win you the series, let alone win the NBA championship. So I take my hat off to OKC. At the rate they going, they about to seal the deal and bring their first championship back home to Oklahoma City.
Yep. All right, Mel, your thoughts on Game 5?
I felt like OKC felt like it was a desperate game, like they had to win. Like SGA played 38 minutes and Williams played like I think 37 or 35. Jay Williams got 40 points and SGA got 38. I mean, he had like 38 points, something like that. And then 22 turnovers by the Pacers, and then the Thunder only played 9 players, where the Pacers played 12. Their most consistent players to me have been Topping, TJ, and Mathurin, and they only played 22 minutes in that game. I was sitting here like, okay, like if Halliburton is hurt, like what's really going on? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and I'm like, okay, well, I just don't feel comfortable if you felt like you got another game where you can keep it pushing, but I don't know. They felt like the other two guys, Nimrod. I don't want to mess their name up. Y'all know who I'm talking about. But those Neesmith and Nimrod, they just felt like they wasn't really there, and the turnovers, like the careless turnovers in the fourth quarter, was horrible. I was like, what's going on? It reminded me of last year when they played Boston. I was like, okay, Rick, it's time to say timeout and get their nerves right because they better team than that. You know, and I'm not taking anything OKC. I believe OKC did their thing. I do think the Pacers are a little bit better. They just need to calm them down. Like you drive in and then you're throwing, just go up for the shot, try to get a foul or something, or just get knocked down. Don't just throw it and a steal. Throw it, throw it out of bounds. It was just, then I felt like I was watching some pods and they said that the reason he didn't put TJ back in because TJ was tired. But I always feel this. These guys are multimillionaires and they've been there. They've been in the finals, but they've been deep in the playoffs like this. And last year, a lot of players got hurt for the Pacers. So to me, I feel like there should always be game plans just in case someone gets hurt. Like if you pay attention to me, I felt like this year, Pritchard for the Boston, he played a lot more. You know what I mean? Like I felt like that was going to be an opportunity or a way they could go say, hey, if this happens, we'll have Pritchard in. He'll score more. I don't know. I'm very feel uncomfortable. Not really uncomfortable, but I picked them to win, and I'm like, damn. I hate that it's coming to the point again where Halliburton is hurt. But I don't know. Hope they got a great coach, and hopefully, He can figure out a way. I will say this too. Like if you want Pascal to be the guy, man, you have to set him up better. Like if he gonna play with his back against the basket, you got to get him the ball and get him better in the circumstances where he could work a little bit better. Like it was just certain little things, and then like I don't know, it just seemed like it should have been like a guy on the bench, like really try to motivate them like that or something. Like it just seemed like they all wasn't there. Like something. The only person I seen was there seemed like to me was TJ.
Yeah. I think this is just one of the games that I kind of figured OKC was going to have down the line. Obviously, you look at the production with, we talk about J-Dub, 40 points, SGA, 31. The 22 turnovers, like we mentioned earlier, 27 points off those 22 turnovers was huge in that game. When I did the preview, I looked at that bench for the OKC Thunder. They were going to have guys that could potentially be in double figures. And I think even the success of those games, you have had that. Obviously, I forgot what game we discussed last week, whatever. We had asked Russo, who had a big game off the bench there. Now, fast forward to this game 5, you got 2 guys in double figures off the bench. Aaron Wiggins had 14, and then also Casey Wallace. Finally, which I think that was the key for them. I never understood why OKC had him starting over Hartenstein. I was one of the biggest question marks. Like, why make that change now? And I know as these few games progress, they kind of switch back to their starting lineup from the get go. So I kind of figured that was going to be kind of a potential for this game. Obviously, you look at what happened with Tyrese Haliburton. You talk about the 4 points, over 6 shooting. Pascal at 28 points. Definitely huge shout out to TJ McConnell, but around here he's Meg's brother, Megan O'Connell. If you guys know from Duquesne, the Duquesne legend. Yeah, for him to have 18 points, and I thought, especially going into the fourth quarter, they had momentum, and I was thinking that this was gonna be an opportunity, to just sit Haliburton down, put TJ in, and trying to because they were rolling at that point, and then obviously I felt like the Pacers kind of ran out of gas in our game 5, but they are now 1 win away. Now we're essentially the Pacers are facing elimination in this game. So now fast forward to tomorrow's matchup. Got game 6. It's gonna be back at Indiana. Obviously, we know how calf injuries are. Should the Pacers kind of err on the side of caution with Haliburton? You guys think he should play, or they should sit him out as a precautionary? Go to you first, X. What you got?
Like you said, the calf injury is so tricky because we've seen that injury lead to more severe injuries. But it's the NBA Finals, man, and you're 1 game away from being eliminated. So it's kind of damned if you do and damned if you don't. I mean, I like TJ McConnell. He's been balling out this series for the most part. And they seem to play faster with him on the court. But I feel like if you remove him from the bench and put him in the starting lineup, where's that spark going to come from off the bench? As far as, I know you got Obi Toppin, but I'm talking about as far as like getting everyone involved. It's like running the point guard position. So, but if you play Haliburton, how effective is he going to be? I don't think he's going to be as aggressive as he should or he needs to be in game 6 because, like I said, I don't think he wants to do anything to trigger that other injury from happening. Because if that happens, you might as well just cancel out all of next season. So it's like I said, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
What you got, Mal?
I agree. I mean, I agree. Like I was saying, like, TJ is really like the sixth man. So like he can come in there and really do whatever. But when you're starting, I mean, I really don't know. You know what I mean? But I guess when you're in that position, it is what it is. You know what I mean? I really don't know. Like I really, like I said, I'm thinking of last year where a lot of Halliburton got hurt last year. It was a lot of stuff going on in the Eastern Conference playoff. Like I think the light skinned guy, what's his name? Nimrod. I don't. Sorry.
Nimhard.
No,
Nimhard.
he ended up being a point. I think I cannot remember how many people. It was a bunch of them got hurt. He ended up playing the point. I don't know. All I know is Rick Carlisle is a great coach, and let's hope that he, like I said, when I saw he played 12 players, and then they played 9, I was like, so what was he like? We just gonna keep playing and just let it go, like you know what I'm saying? Like, it just was weird to me. You know what I mean? And I was so, and then like those two important starters had like 7 or 11. They really didn't do much. You know what I mean? They've been such a factor in this in the whole playoffs that they really didn't do much in that game. TJ did more than he did more than what he did what he usually do, but he did a lot more. I really don't know. Like I'm gonna say, let me ask you guys a question. Y'all remember the Pistons versus I know it might be a different injury, but do you think Isaiah should have played in that game as bad as his ankle or something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his ankle. Yeah,
It was his ankle.
Yeah, do you think he should have played?
One leg,
Because he set out game 7, right?
That's what I'm saying. I can't remember. I was
I remember he finished out the game after he came back from the injury, but I think he may have played game 7, but he wasn't
affected.
Yeah, he was not affected at all.
And that's what I'm saying. So if you put Halliburton, let's say they win, let's say he plays and they win, but he makes it worse. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that means he might not be playing in 7. So I really don't know.
Yeah,
I'll probably sit him down. I ain't even gonna lie.
Yeah, I mean, you sit him down, but then, like I said, you run the risk of you're going to mess up your rotation. Yeah. Unless you, okay, I guess Rick can do this. You can start Nembhard at the 1, Neesmith at the 2. You can start Mathurin, and you can go that route, and you still have Obi and TJ coming off the bench. But
I think that's exactly what he did last year. I think I think he did something like that last year.
I mean, because I think if Rick Carlisle does that, I think it's going to benefit them because Mathurin's going to be way more aggressive looking for a shot.
Right.
But then,
right,
is that going to mess up the flow of their offense with trying to get Pascal the ball? Because something is going to be off with Halliburton not playing.
Yeah.
Right.
I think if I'm Rick Carlisle, I would like if it was like you said, if I'm Rick Carlisle, I would literally have an honest conversation with him tomorrow morning. Like, hey, how you feeling? Because like you said, it's tricky. So regardless of what it is, I mean, I would still dress him. I'll put it this way: he's not gonna be a DNP. I'm probably gonna, like you said, more than likely going to not start him and just see how he feels as the game progresses. And just because I would say I would try not having him there, and if like we're behind or whatever, then maybe kind of put him in as like a desperation because this is an elimination game for the Pacers. Like this is essentially there's no tomorrow if they lose this game. So I would start like you said, even to your point, X, having putting Matherin in as the 3,
right,
and then
right.
and have him start, and then you can still have that score, that punch of TJ and Obi there as well, as how to kind of get your second unit going. And I'm just going to see how that lineup looks. And hey, if I'm in the first quarter, if I'm up, or if I'm only down by like 5 or so, I'm just gonna keep the momentum going. But like if it gets kind of like out of hand, I'm down by 10, 15, even though I want to put Tyrese in that predicament, because he's gonna have to be more and more aggressive because of you being down. So I mean, I'll put it this way. I wouldn't play him. I mean, he would still dress, but he would get limited time, because that's another thing too. Like you talked about, X, where you're rolling that dice, because if you don't, if he plays and the God forbid happens to him, you're not getting back here next year. You're definitely not gonna get back. So if the worst case scenario happens, and we've seen that happen, and it's almost, that's why if this never happened before, I think you'd be like, you'll throw kind of caution in the wind. But we kind of seen this 6 years ago, and it's kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of one like I would say, hey, I would, like I said, he would play, but I'll still dress him. So I wouldn't categorize him as a DNP. He'll still have his uniform and everything, but his time is gonna be limited. If it was me, it would be limited.
And Coach, I got a question. So is his calf strain a grade 1 or a grade 2?
So crazy. They didn't state, because I know he was supposed to get an MRI, but they really haven't gave us much information on the grade. So
okay. Well, I just looked up calf strain injuries. They say the necessary time for a calf strain to heal is from 4 weeks to 6 months. So now we're talking a matter of what they played.
So he wouldn't be back into December if push comes to shove. Like,
yeah,
you said 6 months, right?
Yeah, it's either gonna be
4 weeks to 6 months.
4 weeks. Yeah, 4 weeks to 6 months.
Oh, 4 weeks, 6 months. Okay.
Yeah. So we from a month to a half a year, and now we talking about somebody trying to come back within. They played Monday night, so yeah, Tuesday.
3 days.
3 days.
3 days, and travel, and on the plane, and traveling for like
so
3
pretty
hours
much.
in the air.
So pretty much you spent, because you spent about 3-4 hours in the air, and I know that had to be an uncomfortable ride back to Indiana. So,
Didn't that happen to Kevin Durant?
Yeah, that's what I was talking about. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
But KD,
and that's what. Yeah.
But KD missed.
And 80.
But he missed some time.
Right.
Yeah, and I think when we talked, I don't think we, but I remember we had said, because remember they were down in that series, because like, well, if they stay, if they are in that series, don't play them, because remember he ended up getting hurt like game 5, or was, because I know Clay got hurt in game 6, the elimination game, and I think he got hurt in game 5 because I think at the time they were trailing in the series and he came back. I think he might have like a game.
I think they were down. I think they were down. No, I think it may have been tied 2-2.
Okay, yeah.
I know he came back.
Yeah.
And he went. He had to sit. He played just a couple of minutes, right? And he had to get back out the game.
Well, he played
He ain't played long.
He played the first quarter. He didn't play the whole first quarter. He played the first quarter, and then and I think the injury happened in the second quarter.
Yep. So yeah.
So
that's what I'm saying. Like,
in what was it, 2021 against the Suns? I think he had a groin, didn't he? It wasn't a strain, was it? Because he tried to play. I think it was like game 6 or game 7, and he ain't last long either.
No, I think he had was it a pulled hamstring? He
Yeah, I
tried
thought that's
to
what I was saying. I thought, yeah, that's what I
Yeah,
he
the
thought.
tried to
front,
tough
yeah,
it out, and no, I think he only
and
lasted
didn't.
4 minutes.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's the thing. It's and like you said, it's kind of. And then you look at I've been thinking about the landscape of the Eastern Conference going forward because obviously Boston, you can kind of hang it up for them potentially, even though they might be players in the offseason, but we're looking on the surface now, June 18th, you're not gonna have Jason Tatum. He's gonna be out for
Right.
all next year.
Yeah,
Dame's the same way in Milwaukee. So it's kind of one of those where there's some
Damn.
opportunities in the Eastern Conference. So it's kind of like I said, if it was up to me, and I know like I said, as far as if I was Rick Carlisle, I think I would sit him, but I still have him. He's like in an emergency if something like happens. But for the most part, I'm gonna not try to deploy him in that game because if it gets to a point where it gets ugly, I mean maybe if they down by like 10, 15 points, I might put him in. But if it's more than 20, nah,
see,
we just get ready for next year.
and that's what happens when they should have closed out game 4 when they were up
Yep,
in the fourth quarter.
yep,
Then
yep,
maybe Halliburton could have set out this game, and then you
yep.
just roll the dice in game 7.
Yeah, yeah, because at this point, and even if they were to force a game 7, I still think they would be still confident enough to say, "Hey, because we've already won here." Even though, like we said, that game 1 was kind of an anomaly, but hey, that can happen again to you in the series. Like, hey, I mean, I've heard. I mean, two people might. I mean, the same person might got struck by lightning twice before. Who's to say that the thing can happen for you in this case? So that's the thing where I don't. It's tough, but I like you said, I wouldn't play him, but he would dress for sure. And
The
the
bottom
worst
line
case
is a
scenario,
team
you bring him
sport.
in.
It's,
Yeah,
it's a team sport, man. It's the beautiful thing about this. It's a team sport and it's about professionalism. You need to be ready when you called. And like I've always said, since I've been on here with Coach, I said you have a lot of these coaches and assistant coaches that should already, to me, be a game plan just in case something like this happens. You know what I mean? Because it's happened before, and that's just how I feel. Like any job that I've ever had, blah blah blah. Okay, if this person call out, okay, cool, this is what I'm gonna do. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, like, it's just like if you guys are football guys too. Like, how many times you had a quarterback that, oh man, they this quarterback, blah 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 blah. Then all of a sudden they put the second in there, and he doing everything that the offensive coordinator is telling him to do because he knows he's supposed to know the playbook exactly. Yeah, he's not Patrick Mahomes, but I know Andy Reid and whoever else is going to have me prepared. You know what I mean? It is what it is. I think X, you hit the nail on the call. You hit it exactly where it's supposed to be. That is exactly what they're going to do, and you still have Obi and TJ coming off the bench, and whoever else they could put in there to keep it running. Because TJ's a real point guard. He gonna be
Yeah,
aggressive. If you gonna let him get in there, he gonna lay it up. And then the he already ready to steal the ball, lay it up again. That's a quick 4 points. You know what I mean? Like, so I definitely wouldn't start him. I definitely would keep him coming off the bench. So I will say this too. Miles Turner has got to stop being
yes,
lazy. I'm
yes,
sorry. If you
yes,
see the
yes.
ball on there, you got to move. You got to move. Stop being lazy. You may not ever get in this position again. That's one thing I think a lot of these young players, they think that they're always going to be there. You know what I mean? That's not true. That might not happen again. Just ask, you know what I mean? Let me stop. Before I, but just Miles Turner got to be better. You know what I mean? Like he really do. He's got to be better.
and and that's another one where OKC just dominated them on the boards. This is another one where they dominated them on the boards, and that's how I said, yeah, man, it's that, but that's what it is, man. I mean, but yeah, man, but yeah. So, let's talk. And what's weird, we had and a rare occasion in the in this time of the year. Obviously, we had a Father's Day trade, which was kind of rather odd. Normally in the middle of the NBA Finals as well, where Desmond Bain was traded to the Orlando Magic for KCP, Cole Anthony, and 4 first-round picks, averaged 19.2 points per game. Just your thoughts on Desmond Bain being traded to Orlando first. We'll talk about that first. I'm gonna go around the horn. Mal, what's your thoughts on Desmond Bain being traded to the Mavs? I mean, not Mavs, but the Magic.
You said me?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm happy for him. Like I said, the most thing that I saw was that the Magic need 3-point shooting. But I guess that's about it. He seemed like he's happy. I guess I've been very disappointed with Memphis. I felt like when, after the bubble, I felt like they was a dangerous team. They had swag with Dylan Brooks, Coach, Ja. Like, I really, really like that team, and it's just been chipping away. They're not the same. And I don't know if they're putting Ja, if he's on punishment, where he's gonna end up being on one of those teams where they're not really gonna win anything, or they're not gonna, how there used to be star players back in the day. They really just wasn't trying to give that player the best players that they can, so they can, be better. But I'm happy for Bane. I think they gave up a lot, but hey, I'm not an expert. I know KCP like damn, but I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, I really don't know what Memphis is doing too, because they got this new coach. They fired their coach they've had success with. That basically, the coach has the highest rating and winning percentage of the franchise history. They got rid of him because he said he was trying this new. They got rid of all his assistant coaches 2 years ago. I really don't know what Memphis is doing. Do they have new ownership or something?
No.
So, that's what I'm saying. I don't know, but I got a question real quick before y'all move on. Do you think they did this so they can pay pay Johnson? Was it Jackson? I mean,
Jared Jackson Jr. Yeah, I mean, yeah, for sure.
That's the whole reason why they did it, because I think Bane was one of their loyal players. Like, he didn't get hurt as much. You know what I mean? It's been a lot of players for Memphis that have been hurt over the years, and I think he was one of those ones that stood the test of time. I mean, I ain't saying he never got hurt, but
he's
reliable.
Happy. He was reliable, and he was available most nights. So
most nights, right?
Yeah. What are your thoughts, X?
I like it for Orlando. I think this pushes them to one of the top teams in the East, especially for next season. With we all know the Celtics are going to look like a totally different team next season. I don't trust the Cavs. I don't care if they end up the number 1 seed again. I do not trust Cleveland. I'm just going to be honest. I don't trust Cleveland.
Sure. Yeah.
The Knicks, they have to sort out their coaching decision or search, because
stupid.
Yeah. And who else? With Milwaukee. With Dame being out, is Giannis going to stay? Then you got Philly. I don't see Philly getting rid of Embiid in this offseason. So maybe Philly will be better. But I can clearly see Orlando as one of the top teams in the East, barring any injury, if they stay healthy, which for the most part they have. I just think this season was just like a freak season with injuries. You lost both of your best players almost at the same time, and you still were able to make it into the play-in and get into the playoffs. But then I think about now thinking about the backcourt of Jalen Suggs and Desmond Bain.
Mm.
Suggs is a great on ball defender.
Mm-hmm.
Bain is a good defender, so they and he's a he's a good 3-point shooter.
Yep.
And I think Orlando was dead last in the league in 3-point percentage or
Yeah.
3-point shooting.
Yep.
Yep.
So that's going to help out a lot. You got rid of KCP. You brought him in to pretty much to be your 3-point shooter and your perimeter defender. I mean, KCP plays good defense, but I guess his 3-point shooting wasn't up to par this season. You got rid of who else? They got rid of Cole Anthony.
Cole Anthony.
I think it's take away winning aside. It's going to help Cole Anthony because it gives him the chance to play more free because he's going to get a lot of opportunities because we all know at some point in time in the season, Ja Morant is not going to be available to play. So, and what they gave up 4 first-round picks.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it seems like a lot, but if you think about it, and I heard other people say, if you think about it, they can recoup those picks back because they have Boncaro and they have Wagner. I mean, so if either one of them decide I don't want to be in Orlando no more, they can maybe not get all 4 back, but they can get some of those picks back. So it's kind of a win-win with Orlando coming out on pretty much on top. And I can see them finishing top 4 team in the East.
Yeah. Yeah, I like the move. Obviously, bringing in like a Desmond Bain to this Orlando Magic team, is definitely needed. Like you talked about the backcourt of Suggs and also with Bain, I think that's going to be a fairly good backcourt, especially in the Eastern Conference. And like I said, and that young roster as well. Like talking about Franz as well, Paulo. So yeah, I definitely like what the Orlando Magic is doing. Like I said, the four first round picks, I get it, but I think the way Orlando was going, those picks, like you said, ain't gonna really do much. And like you said, one of these, and they got guys on this roster that if they do want to get rid of, most of them will command some level of draft compensation. And so I definitely think I definitely love, especially considering the fact like we talked about, like you went down the line as far as the Eastern Conference is wide open. Like you said, pretty much the injuries to Suggs, the injury to Paulo. Like saying if they kind of don't have that type, but like last year was just an oddity. Like last year was just a year. I don't think that's going to happen. It could happen again, but more than likely, you're not going to have that. Like you said, when you thought one was going to come back, and then all of a sudden someone else gets injured. It was almost like a revolving door for this team. So, like I said, for them to even make the play-in was was an amazing feat. But now you bring in a guy like a Desmond Bain, I definitely think he's going to play huge dividends for this team. And the good thing about it just adds that depth, because now I'd be thinking to myself, is he your third option? Is he your second? He's that cross between your second or third option, because obviously you got Paulo there. You look at Franz, he's another one that's that could be your second option. And you also got Suggs. So it's kind of one of those where that's gonna be the beauty of it, night in, night out. You got guys that can put on the floor. It could be the number one option at any given night. So I think that's kind of a embarrassment of riches in a sense, where you got that type of situation. And like you said, on the Memphis end, yeah, KCP, he just gets shuffled around all over the league. So it's gonna be interesting what like we do there. And then also, as you mentioned, my nephew Cole Anthony, University of North Carolina. And he's another one I definitely think is well deserving of a a brand new start somewhere. Because he's another one that came in with somewhat high expectations. First round pick in what was it, 2020. So yeah, I definitely think it could be time for him. So we talked about that angle. So now we'll fast forward, because a lot of people looking at this Memphis team is on the verge of a fire sale, and that's here nor there. That's just what many people are thinking. So many people think that the next domino potentially is Ja Morant. So I'm gonna go around the horn. I'm gonna go with you first, X. Should the Grizzlies trade Ja Morant?
And I thought about this, and oh man, I honestly, I would. I would. I think he's a hell of a player. He's a fan favorite. He's electric. He's maturing a little bit. Um, I think that off season that he had with the gun on two separate occasions kind of like set him back a lot. And I think a lot of people around the league got turned off on him. So I think a fresh start somewhere else would be good for him. I mean, Memphis could build around Triple J because you get Ja's money off the books, then you have a lot of money to spend free agency, and then you can get more draft compensation too. Not just for this year's draft, but for at least for the next few drafts down the line. So if I'm Memphis, I'll start a rebuild. You're not going to win anything. You're not winning the championship anytime soon. You're not going to. I mean, you may be a playoff team, but a first round exit. So, I mean, it might be best to make the move now so you can get more instead of playing it out and then Ja's value kind of drops. So you might as well do it now so you can get as much as you can while his value is still somewhat high. Somebody's going to take the chance and make the trade for Ja Morant.
Yep. All right, Mel, your thoughts? Should the Grizz trade for Ja?
I don't know if they are, but I would say yeah, because like I said, after the bubble and they started winning, they had their squad. They had their own OKC, their own Pacer style team. Young, Adams was there. Like they had something. Like if oh man, what's the guy that I'm sorry, I'm tired. What's the dude that came from the Warriors that played for the Wizards?
Jordan Poole.
Jordan Poole. If he would not have grabbed Ja Morant's knee, they might have beat the Warriors. What's that, 2022, right? They might have beat the Warriors, man, in that playoffs. They end up. Say again?
I think that was the championship year, right?
That's the championship year. That's right. They might have. Because they have been beating them in the play-in. They had they kryptonite. It was just something about that the Grizzlies had, and that team is not there no more. I think the last one is Jackson Jr. and Bain and him. You know what I mean? And then, like I said, a lot of it is Ja's fault. You know what I mean? They was so good of a team that Ja could be hurt and they still was winning. You know what I mean? And then he come like I think once they fired all of them assistant coaches and once that coach was gone, I think that's it. I think that was it. And I don't know if they're going to trade him because he is their meal ticket right now. Like when Ja's playing, that ESPN is talking about him. Um, in the highlights, he sell out because it's Ja Morant. Kids like Ja Morant, because he's a small guy that can jump. But I think there's a lot of teams that that would love to get Ja Morant in the league. So I'm gonna say yes, they are because it's not the same. He's not going to be happy. You know what I mean? It's not the same team.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I say the same. Yeah, I would trade them. This Memphis team, you look at it and they're nowhere near contenders in the Western Conference. If that first round series against OKC showed you what this team is, they are miles away from even contending. That was literally a whooping. Every game was horrible. Even that game 4 was god awful. So you think to
Mm-hmm.
yourself, we gotta essentially we need to rebuild this team. We need to kind of figure our way out. And the thing about it, like you said, you gotta strike the iron while it's hot, because you really want to see what you could get for him. And I think that's one thing too, where at this point you gotta get those fillers, huh?
No, I was thinking of a team that he could go to that could make a trade for him because I think they have
Chicago.
certain people. I was gonna say Brooklyn because Brooklyn has some
I think yeah,
pieces
at the
Yeah.
that
piece,
can.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
you can make a package with Cam
yeah.
Johnson, Cam Thomas.
It's a draft picks because
Yeah.
they got draft
Yeah,
picks. So
do
and
they have?
that's what I was
Yeah.
kind of alluding to. So I was more so of what's I want to see what's out there for Ja, and that's the thing where that would make me say yes or no. Like you said, I like them. You got to give me super. Not you don't have to give me a superstar. You give me like a fringe all star. Like you talk about like Cam, uh, another Carolina guy as well. Give me somebody like we talked about Chicago. Like maybe give me like Josh Giddey potentially. Give me Josh Giddey,
Lonzo
maybe
Ball,
Kobe White. So long. No, give me no Lonzo Ball because you already got Cole
Lonzo.
Anthony.
Lonzo. I'm
But I said
telling you.
but you already got Cole Anthony. You already
Yeah.
got Cole Anthony. You got your point guard. But anyway, give me something in that return. Houston, if I'm gonna give Houston, you give me Jalen Green. You're gonna give me something. You got to give me something. And I think that's the thing where I think
You know
he
what?
is has that
That
it,
Houston one
huh?
sounds good. I'm sorry.
And that's
That Houston one
yeah,
sound good, Coach.
and that's just saying like if because a lot of people are linking Kevin Durant there. So say if this whole Kevin Durant thing don't work out and Ja Morant is like their backup in a sense where it's like, hey, if we can't get KD, we'll just get Ja. Just give you an example. But those are the type of trades that I will look for to help me with this because like not necessarily I know that this is going to be a process. This is going to be a process, and I know that hey, I'd rather be a 30-win team next year than to be in a predicament that I was this year, getting swept by the OKC Thunder. So it's just one of those where,
Mm.
yes, I would trade like you said, get it while the iron is hot because I think progress because you think yourself he's coming off that suspension, and then when he came back off the suspension, he only played like nine games into it. He had a season-ending injury. Last year he played 50 games, so you think to yourself, okay, he only played 59 games in 2 years, but you kind of see like last year he kind of got back into his footing. So I'm like, this is the perfect time to get rid of him because I think, like I said, there's still some value and with him being, as far as him being trade value. So yeah, I would like you. Yeah, it's like we talked about Brooklyn, we talked about Houston, Chicago. Yeah, it's some teams
Mm.
out here that definitely think that they could work with, and I think even if I know it's been, but yeah, but it's a lot of fillers I think that could be for Ja Morant for sure.
Man, I like that Houston one. You got Steve Adams who just got that extension. You got Dylan Brooks there, and you got a coach. Oh, I like that one. Oh man, let me tell you, I like
Well,
that.
what you think Memphis will get back in return?
I don't really know, but
I'm a if I'm them and I'm saying I'm gonna play like a draft machine type, not draft machine but trade machine. Like I know for at least you gotta give me Jalen Green. That's just because I know you're not gonna give me Sagoon.
Yeah.
If you give me Sagoon now, if you give me Sagoon, I'll walk to Memphis. I mean I'll walk to Houston to get Sagoon, like for real. But that's not gonna happen. I'm gonna look at Houston. Let me see.
The 3 players on Houston.
They have some guys on it. Yeah,
it's 3 players on Houston that pop out in that. If that trade was to happen, I'm thinking Jalen Green.
He's gone.
Reed Shepard.
Yes, Reed Shepard. Yep.
And I feel like Memphis is gonna try to get Dylan Brooks back.
Nah. You remember the drama that happened? Why they didn't sign him in the first place?
And a whole new coaching staff there.
You know who I might would throw in too? So, like you said, I'll throw in, like you said, I do definitely want to. Reed Shepard, I think, would be good because he's another one where he didn't perform this year. But I think him going to Memphis could jumpstart his career. We did also talk about Jalen Green. That's off the top. But what about Cam Whitmore? He's another guy like in summer league. He would be somewhat of a piece, I think, could potentially be in the works for them too. Like, if I'm in that, so I definitely would try to get that. I would there, like you said, it probably would be Jalen Green, Reed Shepard, Cam Whitmore, just to start. Especially considering the fact if you don't want to give me draft compensation. Because if you don't give me draft compensation, then I want more. Because hell, we could do pick swaps, something. We'll figure it out. But yeah, those be the sticking points for me because I know they're not gonna get rid of Sagoon. Like they'd probably hang up in my face if I asked for Sagoon, and rightfully so.
Yeah, they should.
So
they definitely should.
And I
don't think that. My bad. Go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
This kind of want to. And this is kind of like that blind confidence, that DM, like shooting the DM. I know this might be a little greedy, but I might see what's up with a Ben Thompson.
No, he is untouchable. Untouchable.
That's what I said. I said I know. If I be bold, and that's what I said. That's what I said. I'm gonna be bold. I said I'm just like being bold to the DM. Like I said, I'll be bold. I necessarily wouldn't say this out loud. Like this is like a DM type of thing. You know how like you DM, you know how it is when you DM, just anything. When you're like, okay, blindly, like, hey, I want you to come on the show. Like like stuff like that. Like how when you see like requests that you're like, oh, this person not gonna read it. Yeah, and I said, and I preface it like I'm being greedy. Like I said, I'm being greedy. I know, like, yeah, they're not going to. But if the talks go good, it may be bought up, but more so in a passive aggressive way. Like, yeah, I really like a Ben Thompson, but I wouldn't dare to try to see. What are your thoughts on the men? So, I would just kind of casually bring him up in conversation. I would do my due diligence.
I mean, if Nico Harris was running the team, he might bring up a Ben Thompson, but Nico Harrison ain't in Houston.
Nah, he's in Houston.
You just pull back, man. Like it's a lot. Like just for Mike Malone being fired, it's been so much weird stuff happening. Like what's the dude that coached Sacramento Kings? Him being fired. It's just Mike Brown being fired, and then like I'm just sitting here looking at New Orleans, like what they about to do. There's some scrappy dudes on that team. What they really about to do? Because I know they saying something about Zion. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just that team right there. I think they about to blow up. I'm telling you, they're gonna mess around. They're gonna have a whole bunch of Washington Wizards around in the league, just getting rid of stars and coaches, and you trying to figure out who on the team like you know what I mean? Like, oh, I didn't know he was still playing. Like, the only best thing about the Washington Wizards is when a go-go band playing after the show. Just being honest with
you. Yeah. And play them at halftime, yep. And that's it. And everybody dip.
Everybody dip. I'm telling you. All my friends be like, man, I saw such and such. I ain't seen him in 20 years. Man, sad. Wizards, that's sad.
Yeah.
Quick question before we move on. Let me ask you this real quick. Can I ask you a quick question real quick? Would you have ever thought that Zion and Ja would be in the position they're in right now?
No.
Me neither.
And as much as people talk about Zion being hurt and not being available for games, you can pretty much say the same for Ja, but not missing as many games as Zion. But you can say that.
That's why I asked the question.
Yeah. Yep. All right. So we'll go on to our next. Well, we'll get the chat. Definitely huge shots. Let's see. Come on. All right. And definitely huge shout. I got Papa J. I guess that's what's good, family. I guess. But yeah, what's good. And, all right. So, what we're gonna do on our next one? So we got a pretty much our new segment is gonna be big deal or nah. So basically, these are gonna be 3 topics that we discuss whether it's a big deal, mid, like a deal, or nah, like it's not even like that big of a deal. So, first topic that that we're going to discuss is Stephen A. Smith playing solitaire during Game 4 of the NBA Finals. It was tweeted out, and then essentially he was saying he was doing it during the timeout. But we know how social media is. You get caught up in the lie. He doubled down on it. Then there was video that showed that actually he was playing solitaire in gameplay. So it wasn't during the timeout. So go around the horn, fellas. I'm going to go with you first, Bauer. Is it a big deal or knob that Stephen A. Smith was caught playing solitaire in Game 4 of the NBA Finals?
Not really. Stephen A. to me works hard. Like he's an Iron Man worker. Like so many shows. I don't know how much sleep he gets. You know what I mean? So, I mean, we all take our phone and be focusing on one thing and be playing a game or scrolling on your phone. It's just how things are right now. So I didn't think it was that big of a deal. And that's probably why it ended up being the news, because he's usually on point when it comes to everything. So, no, I didn't think it was. I'm saying nah.
All right. What about you, X?
I'll say it's a deal simply because he is an NBA analyst and he talks about the game a lot. He does critique the game a lot. But like he said, like Maui said, we all find ourselves being guilty of scrolling at times during live events. So it's not a big deal, but it's a deal. And I think it's a deal because the coverage that the NBA Finals is getting hasn't been up to par like it has been in recent years. I'm not. Maybe it's because it's 2 small market teams, but hey, that's my reasoning for saying it's a deal.
And like you said, because it to me it would be a big deal, but I'm not going to sit here and act like I've never engaged in that type of activity. Not saying I played solitaire, but the fact that you've been mindlessly scrolling on something, or maybe watching another game, or doing something that isn't to that. But I'm gonna say a deal because of the magnitude of the NBA Finals. I mean, this is game 4 of the NBA Finals. This is the biggest stage of it all, and then just the fact of who Stephen A. Smith is, in the sense like he's that. Unfortunately, he's the face of ESPN. You know, I know people will argue with that, but it is what it is. You get $100 million contract, you are the damn face of the network. It is what it is. So
there you go.
People will trip off the semantics of me saying that.
Right.
But I'm just saying it that way. So, but just the fact of him doing it during in game, yes, it is a deal. I can understand, like, if this was like a situation where this is OKC versus Indiana, December 26th, or on the March 30th matchup, we would say no. But it's the NBA Finals, like you said, and it's just, and then the way Stephen A. Smith carries himself, especially in this NBA Finals, is, and just in general, where it's just like, okay, like you said, given the NBA analysis, but you playing on your phone. So I do think it is a deal, but it's not a big deal, because I don't want to, that's because that's one of those things where it's just like it can come back and haunt you. But I do think it is a deal. And like you said, X, the coverage has been lackluster. I don't necessarily think it's because of the matchup. I just think it's just the overall presentation. Because it could be the Lakers and the Celtics, and I think it can be just as dry as it's been. I mean, honestly, because it's just what it is. It's been like that for quite some time. So this ain't the first time I felt that way about the NBA Finals. It's totally different.
I think the last NBA Finals that was really viewed a lot was the Golden State and Boston Celtics one. May have been the last one that was like when coverage was like up to par. Like it felt like the NBA Finals, because it was like a storyline going along.
Yeah.
Because you had Golden State looking to capture another championship, but without KD. I mean, granted, their first one they did without KD, but this one, it was
the old Golden State.
Yeah, post KD, and plus you had the storyline with Steph looking to get his first Finals MVP. So I think storyline played a lot into that.
Yeah, and a lot of people with that team, because you think about all the stuff that happened, essentially almost kind of bleed into kind of what we were talking about with the situation in 2019 with Kevin Durant having Achilles, losing that series against Toronto. Clay gets hurt. And then the next year, Steph breaks his arm. All this craziness that happened. So nobody ever really thought that this team was, especially going into that 2020 draft, a lot of people was thinking, with that number 2 overall pick, are you essentially kind of rebuilding this team? And then, lo and behold, 2 years later, these guys come back and then they win. Like you said, and Clay kind of gets somewhat of a redemption, actually finish the finals and win. They're all story. And then, but that's the thing too, where they really haven't played into like in the storylines as well with that too. But even though this is a good team, because which I'm shocked nobody has talked about this. And I know, and I got to give a huge shout out to my big bro / mentor, Danny Thompson. He's the only one that really have thought about the narrative, and I'm surprised nobody haven't ran with this. Like, no one's really considered that the 68 win team, what's their place in NBA history if they were to win? Like, no one has really sat down and really talked about if they do they fall into that top 5 of all time? Do they fall into that top 10? Who will they fall in as best teams in NBA history? So it's kind of thing. I'm shocked that no one is really brought that up because normally you think to yourself because I think they had oh my gosh like their win differential. Well, I mean they like had a historical year, and no one essentially hasn't really talked about that, and that's why like it's weird. And then even with the Pacers angle, and I think like you said, it's more so. I think it's just a fact that no one essentially the storylines are lacking, which there are storylines, but no one's
Right.
really diving into them.
Wasn't prepared for it. They wouldn't. They really wasn't prepared for it like they usually. Usually it'd be somebody there that they could just run with. Like the Joker. It's just Steph. It usually be or Tatum. It was always a name there that they can really run with. Like they've always had these question marks about SGA. Like all year they've been. You know what I mean? Like, should he be the MVP? Well, I think it should be the Joker. He's blah blah blah. You know what I mean? All these different things, and I don't know, man. I think
Yeah.
this is probably the most natural time that you see these two teams like really naturally make it there. You know what I mean? Without seeming like something's being forced.
And even with that, you got an MVP in the series, and that's another thing where I'm just like, it
Right.
is a very odd year.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Excuse me. So staying in the NBA Finals, which I found it very weird. I think we have got to a point where we can talk to Adam Silver and he listens. It's almost like it's
Mm-hmm.
we're in a weird time frame. Like this is not a Roger Goodell type of. This is it. This is a kind of an odd. Obviously, so for Game 5 of the NBA Finals, ESPN broadcasted the starting lineups for Game 5, and this is the first time that they have actually aired the starting lineup since 2013. And I don't know if we talked about it on this show, but I know it was discussed NBA or NBC when they return this fall that they will broadcast starting lineups in their games. So was this a big deal or not that ESPN broadcast the starting lineups for Game 5? I'm going with you first, Mal. What you got?
I'm gonna say big deal. What the thing like to me personally, I didn't notice it. So when I was looking up stuff, and you guys are ultimate fans, and to hear the guys like, man, this dude is really starting to listen to us. I was like, oh, so this is really, really a big deal. Then I watched it, you know what I mean? And I was like, wow, since 2013, that's crazy. And then you're wondering why things aren't where it should be in the ratings wise, because you've been really turning the fans off. Like it's just certain things that you look forward to, the build up to it. Like, why would you not show that? That don't make any sense to me. You know what I mean? So I'm gonna say a big deal, and I wanted to ask a question, but I'll wait till after you guys are done. The question is, what else do you do? What else would y'all like for the NBA to do that they took away?
We'll once we get through the segment.
Right.
What you got, X?
I'm a agree with Maui. It's a big deal. To me, with the NBA Finals, it's all about presentation. You got You got the two best teams in each conference meeting head to head to go for the ultimate prize, the NBA championship. So showcasing the starting lineup, and then the fact just hearing um their name being called, what college they went to, how many seasons they've been in the league, even if they even throw in the height and stuff like that. It's all about presentation. It makes you want to know about these players just a tad bit more. Um, so I'm all for it. I hope they continue it, especially with the new deal they got with NBC. They have to keep it going.
Um, Yeah, definitely big deal. And that's the thing when we talk about like the nostalgic of it, like the NBA or NBC, because that's what the kind of where it really ultimately came from. Obviously, if you remember the days like when the Bulls, you had the essentially you had the video. We had the bull running into the stadium, and then all of a sudden that music plays, and then you also got the PA announcer doing that. So you remember those moments, and that, like you said, it was the build up. It made you get excited for this game. You know, that's one thing too, where like it's the presentation and everything, like you said, it's the devil's in the details, and like that, and then even going back to the Detroit when with their PA announcement, I used to love it, even though I'm not a Pacers, not a business guy, but when he said Chauncey, bop, 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 like if you don't, if the hair on your neck, arm, shoulder, or every body part you got hair on don't raise up, you don't have a pulse. So you think to yourself those and just how excited those moments is, and even back in those days I was adult, so you think it's not just a childish like thing. Well, okay, yeah, this would happen when you was a child. No, I was a grown ass man, and that got me hyped. And you think to yourself,
Right.
and like to your point, Mal, the reason why they stopped doing this because they know they can sell 2 minutes of advertisement. That's why they did
Right.
that, because it's because of the money. It just shows you kind of the greed of it. Because hey, I could sell. Okay, think about it. If it's a 2 minutes to do those intros, I can sell 4 30-second commercials and can get
Hmm.
hand over fist kind of money. So yeah, they
Right.
looked at it from that standpoint. But yeah, and like to your question, and which I was, and I'm like the thing was I wish that what they did, and I wish they did like with the NBA Finals logo, like have those traditional logos for the NBA Finals. Like I used to love like having the NBA Finals logo on the court. I wasn't really too fan of the trophy in the middle of the court. I mean, that still was great, but
Hmm.
at least have some type of signage on the court. But that's another thing,
Hmm.
it's the money because of the YouTube TV. So of course they want to advertise the YouTube.
Right.
They want to put that on
Right.
the digitalized screen, because now they don't put it on the court no more. It's digitalized. So that's the thing I want them to change, and just that's my big sense as far as from the NBA Finals wise. And like you said, I think they're gonna bring back the starting lineups. I know they're gonna. I'm assuming they're gonna keep it with ESPN, but I know NBC for sure is gonna do it. And I think they should do that for every game, because
That's,
it's the build up. Because I don't know, it reminds me of like when you watch the Final Four. Even now, as a 40-year-old man, I love those intros in the Final Four, the National Semifinals, and the National Championship game. You see those intros, you're like, yeah, this is it. It shows you it's the main event. This is why you came. It's the build up. It's almost like that's like anything. They're like this, is like the coin toss or the guys coming out of the tunnel in football. Like it's
right.
that type of thing that you need to have. Yeah, for sure.
Just like boxing when buffer. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Which.
you need that.
Hmm. What about you, X?
Yep.
Uh, is it is that question like focused on the finals or just the NBA in general?
Just whatever. Because the whole thing, what I was saying is, he's listening. So I believe that they went away from stuff and they're watching. There's so many podcasts. There's so many people that can express how they feel, and they're trying to please that in some type of way. And I'm like, so, and I think they don't know. I really believe that they really don't know what to do or what to hear because they're not tapped in like they should. You know what I mean? So I'm asking, what would you like for them to do that they took away?
Well,
And
this one is about the All Star game. I mean, this
mhm,
suggestion I'm about to make is probably not going to do anything as far as making the game more competitive. I just remember
mhm.
seeing and liking it. It's just the players wearing their own jerseys in the All Star game instead of everyone wearing
Oh,
instead of everyone wearing the same jersey. Remember back what the
Right.
early 2000s, everybody wore their own jersey.
Right.
So I
Like that
That's
kind
a
of
good
want
one.
them.
yeah.
I kind of want them to bring that back. Or if you want to make it, or if you want to just tinker it a little bit to, or have them have their own colorway, or have their All Star jersey the same colorway as their individual team. That might be too much, but or just let them, like I said, just let them wear their jerseys. That's one. That's one thing I would change. And another thing, man, there's so much the NBA could do to make it better. My main thing is just suggestions going back to wearing their own jerseys in the All Star game. Just like I said,
Right.
minor details, presentation.
Right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I like that All-Star one though. Like
And I
both
think
of them.
yeah, and like you said, and I think he is like, and I think he's doing it on the fly. And I think that's what I like about like Adam Silver. I know a lot of people critique him because I even like the idea of what he's going to do next year for the All Star game. Is going to be the world USA versus the world, and I think the only reason why I like it next year because obviously the All Star game is going to be on NBC and it's going to tie in with the Winter Olympics. So I was like, that's a good idea to tie the two together. So it's kind of
Damn,
one of those
coach.
things where I do like
That's
that
good.
he's doing this on the fly, and that's one thing I like about Adam Silver. Like I said, he listens, and I think he is always open for suggestions. But I think that took. Let me miss my words because he's more progressive in the sense. And I know a lot of people look at that as like the prison running asylum, but I mean, you're living
All
in a
right.
world now where these guys getting $300 million max contract. These dudes gonna be billionaires by the time their careers are over. I mean, the
Right.
prison already done ran the asylum at this point. I mean, just throw away the key and throw away the jailer.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah,
Coach, that was the best answer of the All-Star game that I've heard. All I've heard was negativity, and what you just said trumped everything. Because I ain't even think about the Winter Olympics. Why the hell wouldn't you not do that? That is perfect. Like, you know what I mean? I hear, oh man, it ain't gonna work. It ain't gonna work. And I'm like, they trying to figure out a way to get y'all to play. To me, the All-Star game, it's a lot of European All-Stars now, and they play around. If you go back and look at the last 2 years, watch Luca and Joker joking around and not caring. You know what I'm saying? They look like some 8-year-olds on a soccer field that's just running to the ball. They ain't really trying to kick nothing. You know what I mean? Giannis is not like that. It's and no offense, a lot of American players, they understand how important the All-Star game is. I mean, you don't remember All-Star weekend? Like, we grew up watching the kids part. It used to be an all day thing. You know what I mean? It used to have the Will Smith would host it with all the kids, all the students and stuff like that. And then if they had the All-Star in your area, they would have all these different activities you can do. It used to be a whole day thing. And I think that's part of the issue too, is why. And then the dudes would play. Everybody had their own moves, everybody had their own things. I just feel like when I see a lot of those European players in the game, they be joking around and playing and not taking it as serious. And not, I don't care. I'm stand on mine. A lot of people aren't saying that, but I've sat there and watched, and I'm looking like, man, they gonna blame that person, that person, that person, and it's only like 3 of them that's just running around thinking everything is a joke, shooting half court shots. You know what I mean? And it's not competitive at all. But I think by that Olympics being there, them boys gonna be competitive. Them boys gonna be
yeah.
competitive this time.
and hopefully it'll be a start to it. Because that's the thing where, and I know that might work for next year. Because obviously, but I do like the fact that he did tie in because it works. It makes sense with the NBC angle too. So, but that's gonna be
Right.
crazy. Yeah, February gonna be crazy. Because I think
Word.
oh my gosh, and they got the Super Bowl too. I think my memory serves correct. Damn, like NBC gonna be it's gonna be crazy around NBC. They got the Super Bowl, All Star game, and the Winter Olympics. Man,
It's NBC, they back.
Mike Tirico about to be working overtime. Mike Tirico, he gonna literally be the hardest working man on the face of this earth. That's gonna be wild. But anyway.
Right.
But and we talked about it earlier. As far as turning a term that was derogatory to you and turning it into a gold mine. Definitely for Angel Reese. So Angel Reese, if we all know, if you've been on the internet, you've been under a rock. Everyone's always got a critique about Angel Reese, and we talk about this often on this show. There's a lot of discourse, a lot of middle-aged men always dissing a 23-year-old child. And Angel Reese, I can say child because obviously I'm almost double her age at this point. So, and I think the term I don't know where it originated from was B Hen from the 520 podcast, where he called her. He said pretty much me bounce, and pretty much that's the term because she gets her own misses. So, and then of course people ran with it because now once B Hen kind of said it, you start to see it because like especially every performance, like Lord knows, don't go into the Chicago Sky graphic and that girl got 12, 15 rebounds. Oh, look at all the rebounds she got. Trust me. They be crushing her on there. And she even put on a TikTok video, she said whoever created the term, as the young folks say, y'all ate with that. In other words, you did your big one, as I guess we would consider it at our age frame. But anyway, so Angel Reese filed a trademark for the term me bounce, and I think if my memory serves correct, from that trademark that she'll be able to she wants to sell like merchandise and what have you. So big deal or not, an Angel Reese trademarked me bounce, a word that was used to troll her, but she essentially took advantage of it. I'm gonna go with you first, X. What you got?
Big deal. Get your money, Angel. Get your money. Big deal. Get your money.
Yep.
That's all I got to say. Get your money.
Yep, I get you. Yep. And what you got, Maui?
Same thing. Big deal. Hey, we spoke about it last week. These young adults, they know their business. So like, do what you do. Hey, don't Michael own the crying one? Don't Michael own him crying? I think somebody said he get like $1 every time they or something like that. Was that a troll?
I remember hearing that, but I'm not 100% sure if he has the rights to it or not.
Right.
But yeah. Oh yeah, big deal. Definitely huge shout out to our honorary niece, Angel Reese, man. Shout out to her, man. I put a comment on her TikTok and she hit the like button. So I'll always be dedicated to my niece. So shout out to our honorary niece. Yeah, and I think this is a perfect example. I'm telling you, every time we talk about Angel Reese, she overcomes stuff. We talked about I remember there's always that criticism, the RG3 hate, the Emmanuel Acho hate, the 50+ non-melanated community, Fox News, everybody. At the end of the day, regardless of, and I think this is for everybody, people, you will always have someone trolling you. Somebody will always say something negative to you. You can be the nicest person on earth. You can give detailed facts. People will say stuff about you, and take advantage of it. Don't let this internet stuff fool you, because at the end, when it's all said and done with, the internet not a real place. Because I guarantee you, you're not going up to my little niece face and talk about me bounds or trying to troll and stuff. You ain't gonna do that. You're gonna be the one that's want to take a picture with her. You be the first one talking about, and trying to troll her. Just like him. People will say stuff, oh, you don't do no research. What the fuck is this? Research. Like, what I'm saying, at the end of the day, guess what? You come and watch and hear. I live in your mind rent free. Our comments, our takes, we live in your mind rent free. So you can say all you want. Oh, you don't know football. You don't know this. But you're watching us. You're watching us.
Right.
Not knowing that we don't know football. So guess what? Always be a lesson to you. They always gonna say something, but you know what? There's always a clap back ready for you.
Hey, Coach.
When you look,
research. I don't do research, but I got 4 pages of notes. You're right. I should have 5 pages of notes. You're right.
Hey, Coach, look. Hey, don't be surprised whenever her debut Reebok shoe drops that one of her colorways is gonna be me bounds. I promise you. She's gonna put that. She's gonna put that on one of her signature shoes.
Man, y'all lucky he ain't the old couch coach.
Absolutely.
For real. He used to throw jabs out there for y'all to talk, you know.
But man. But that's what. But I just go to show you, man. People, and that's So I always tell people, don't get caught up in it. Don't get caught up in this, because the internet not real. And she did the greatest clapback of 2025. As a young kid say, I love that for her. So, straight facts. So, all right. So before we head on out, we're gonna give this week's game ball. Who gets this week's game ball for you? I'm gonna go with you first, X. Who gets this game ball for you this week?
Oh man, the Florida Panthers going back-to-back Stanley Cup champions. I know hockey doesn't get a lot of coverage, so I just want to give them a shout out. Winning consecutive championships is not an easy feat, so when you're able to do it, you got to give you a shout out and show you some love.
All right, we'll get this week's game for you, Maui.
Mine is going to the Bus family. They sold their stake of the Lakers to a Mark Walter for $10 billion. Jenny Buss will still be the I think they said the president, the controller, but he actually has the controlling stake of the Lakers. Everybody seems excited. I think he has ties to the Dodgers also. So I was reading what Magic Johnson says that that Mark is a very good competitor, and he's going to be able to put them in a position where they're going to be able to move forward. $10 billion. Wow.
Man, the Buss family going to be eating for the rest of their lives.
It was just about a year or two ago that people were downing them, saying they're not as financially. They used to be one of the top, but they're not as financially as they used to be. Well,
Yeah. Shout out to the hottest governor of the NBA and Miss Jeannie Buss.
Right.
I'm sorry,
Jay the governor. That's what they said. That's what they said. Yeah.
The governor, boy. Yeah. Shout out to Jay Moore though. That was no disrespect to your wife, but
first
man.
Female NBA owner to win. Yeah.
Caliente.
That's what's up.
But yeah, man. Woo-wee. But yeah. gotta give mine to the DC Defenders winning the UFL championship on Saturday at 58-34 win over the Michigan Panthers. Man, definitely huge shout out to our guy Jordan Tamu, the MVP. I know he got slighted. I got Bryce Perkins from UVA got the MVP, but at the end of the day, Jordan got the UFL championship MVP. I think when the UFL MVP championship MVP supersedes what Bryce got in. But shout out to Jordan Tamu, man. He need to be in the NFL camp in the next few weeks. Bring him out. He need to be at least be a training camp QB somewhere. I want to see him on at least playing a preseason game in about a month and a half. Yeah, man.
No doubt.
Yeah, man. So before we head on out, I definitely want to get this topic out because I knew because this is gonna be kind of where we're going. It might be a little minute to ponder over. We definitely gotta give a shout out to our guy Turo, So, bro hit us up and was like, "Hey, man, this was a topic at the barbershop: prime Allen Iverson or prime James Harden." Now, I mean, to me, I already know what the answer is. I mean, at my age, it's
man.
at my age. I'm taking
Bubble Chuck. What we talking about?
I'm taking that, and it's a generational thing because I think if you are over, it's AI for sure.
But I think why it was. I'm thinking why it was a topic because they didn't factor in James Harden's playoff performances. That has to be the reason why. Because regular season, James Harden, he had a stretch where he was averaging like 35 plus a game for an entire season. This man scored 1,000 points in 25 games in one season. So that means he was averaging like 40 points for like a stretch of 2 months. So
he lost.
Well, I ain't mean to interrupt, Coach. My fault.
Oh no, I mean it's AI for me. I mean, shout out to AI. He just turned 50, which is so crazy. And that really, I had to sit down for a second. Like, damn, Allen Iverson 50 years old. I'm like. I practically, it's weird because she's like, you got to be kidding me. Like, and it's just, when he turned 50, I was like, man, that's crazy. And he got that money from Reebok too. He got that Reebok money. Wee. I know it was
I'm sorry. I don't even know how you could compare. It's so many different layers to Allen Iverson and Harden. Like Harden, regardless, Harden had one of the best offensive coaches ever in Mike D'Antoni. I feel like since he's left Mike D'Antoni, I'm not saying he ain't had great games, but I have not seen the same James Harden since he had Mike D'Antoni. Am I tripping?
Well, yeah, but he had him in his prime. So, yeah, I mean, I get it. I get what you're saying. So, yeah, so I think, like you said, and I think like he essentially kind of framed it like prime versus the prime, but regardless of eras, it's got to be, for me, it's Allen Iverson. And I think that's more so like of an age and a generational thing. Because I can see like a 25-year-old saying that because he wasn't born during prime Allen Iverson. I mean, you think about it, if a kid was born in 2000, you think to yourself, he was a baby. He or she was a baby.
Right.
During his run. Yeah. So,
man,
I think if it's
prime Allen Iverson was must see.
Yeah.
I'm with you on if a 25-year-old say that, but we are not 25, and we know how nasty Allen Iverson was. Yeah. We know if my brother was here right now, I said, look, you trust me? I said, I'm telling you, Allen Iverson came in a dog. James Harden came off the bench. I'm sorry. I mean, I'm just joking. James Harden is a beast. He's a Cali legend. But I just always felt like, I don't know, he just always seemed like he was a step or two behind or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like he had his stage, but even when he had Chris Paul, like he pissed me off because I felt like he had his chance. Like they were supposed to beat the Warriors. That you know what I mean? And even if Chris Paul got hurt, you supposed to be the dude. Who cares? You should be able to knock these dudes out. You all you need is 1 or 2 games. You should be able to give us that. And he couldn't. You know what I mean? And then about a year or two later, he didn't want Chris Paul there no more. I was like, anyway, my bad.
It's I mean, head and shoulders AI for sure. I mean, like, and just his whole impact in itself, yeah, for sure. So, yeah, and like I said, yeah, and it's an age thing. Like I can see if a kid was born in 2000 and current, but yeah, I think anybody over 35 is gonna say Allen Iverson without a shadow of a doubt, because at least they were at a point where they lived through it. Because you think, 35, he was born in 1990. So I would think if you're 35 and up, yeah, I think.
And with Allen Iverson, it was more than just basketball.
It's everything. Culture.
Like he single-handedly changed the culture in the NBA with the tattoos, the sleeve. Hell, David Stern even had to institute a dress code because of Allen Iverson. So I mean. Right. It's AI.
One of my favorite playoffs. One of my favorite playoffs ever is 01, right? Ain't that when they went to the championship?
Mm-hmm.
Like I sat down with my brother during the pandemic. I said, watch these joints, like just to see him grow, because he was athletic, he was fast, this and that, but like just to see him figure out a way to breakdown. He had to beat the Pacers. Like, you know what I mean? It was just so much. Him versus Vince Carter, him versus Ray Allen. And like, oh man, like it was so disappointing when they didn't win, bro. And of course they wasn't gonna win. Like they got like a diamond team over there. You know what I mean?
And the fact that he was able to go into Staples Center and steal game 1. And what he dropped 48 that game?
Yeah.
Man, I don't care if that was the only game they won. That was a hell of a ride and a gauntlet he had to go through just to get to the finals.
That playoffs was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah.
And you got to think about how dominant that Lakers team was, that 1999, 2000, 2021 team, where, matter of fact,
that was the only loss.
They only lost. That was the only loss.
That was their only loss.
The only loss.
And that was one of those where we looked at like as far as an all-time great team too. So you think to yourself, like, if Allen Iverson kind of stopped essentially, because they would have probably gone down as the greatest team of all time, minus the 72 and 10 Bulls because of that playoff. So I mean, Allen Iverson did, like you said, he carried that team, because that team, in my personal opinion, they had no business being in the NBA Finals.
Man, that team had Eric Snow.
They shouldn't have. They should have kept Ratliff. They should have kept Ratliff.
Theo Ratliff.
Yeah.
Eric Snow.
No, they traded Ratliff. I think they should have kept Ratliff.
Yeah.
I think Mutombo was a little slow.
Yeah, but I'm saying, and RP to Dikembe Mutombo, man. But yeah, man. Yeah, and like you said, that team, and they traded him in the midseason. So yeah, then he did this with Larry Brown. Like I be telling, like, and you think about it, because I mean, you got some time, because I think he kind of held Allen back a little bit. I mean, like, I mean, I don't know if everybody read had a kind of conversation, but I mean, it's kind of one of the things. I think he was kind of a little bit held a little bit. I think if we would have had a kind of coach that kind of let him do his thing, even though Larry Brown did let him do his thing, but I definitely think he could have took it up another notch because of just how Larry Brown was.
I think Allen Iverson was the only player on that team to average double figures that whole playoff run. I don't
Okay,
think
X,
nobody.
you too smart. All right, you're doing too much, man. You're breaking my heart here. Like, goodness gracious, man. Now you don't understand, B. I was at
Yeah.
work listening to the radio. I'm looking, I'm like, this is one of the first time I really was focused, and I just could not believe. I'm like, it's over with. It's just like when the Steelers lost to Green Bay. You know what I mean? I was sitting here like, hold up, hey, Eric Menahar fumble? Are you serious? Like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, I'm like, I'm at the table still, like, it's over with. Are you shitting me? Like, no, I mean, but anyway, my bad.
Yeah,
AI
man.
bubble chuck
Yep,
all
it was.
day.
Yep, yep. There was 15. Yep, that team was 15-1, and that
Yeah.
their only loss was to that 16 in game one, the step over Ty Lue. But yeah,
Mhm.
man.
Man,
Yeah,
that would
and
be a great
and
series, man.
and think about it, and just imagine, and let's just and we used to sit down and think about this. Can you even remember a James Harden moment, like playoff wise, like we just talked about here, where he had a historic moment like this? I mean, he's had games, but not of the
Uh,
magnitude like a Allen Iverson.
uh, uh, nah, he didn't. I don't think he ever had a run like that. Only game that comes to mind is when he was in OKC and they was just destroying San Antonio.
Yeah, and I think if my memory serves correct, I know he had a good game in one of the NBA Finals. If my memory serves correct, but it won't like nothing monumental like how Allen Iverson game one
It's a
NBA
great
Finals
question.
2021. I mean 2001. That's what correct. But yeah, yeah, it's a generational thing more for sure. Like I said,
Hmm.
it's more of a nuanced type of thing. I mean, yeah, we probably would run the 25-year-old kid out the barbershop. I mean, with the
You know what it
argument,
is too. We have it was magic. Like we had this magic. It's like when we saw Michael Jackson or you saw Jordan, saw Shaq. It was this magic that we felt. So when we saw somebody like Zion, or we saw like Ja, we remember that magic. You know what I'm saying? And like you like, damn, this might be the next thing to make us, we get hyped, and then you see certain stuff and you see some of the immature things they doing, and it's like, yo, you messing up. Like we want y'all to carry the torch. Then like I think even Ant-Man, I think he's starting to crumble under the pressure of them wanting to push him to be the face. I think Giannis crumbled under the pressure of them wanting him to be the face. You know what I mean?
the
But
thing is, but the thing is, it's got to be given, and I think that's what's wrong with what's going on now because everybody having these conversations of who's the face of the league.
right,
It's kind of one of the things where it's like it should be like clear as day, like the whole thing,
right,
like you said with Ed. I mean, it's like what he's doing is incredible for what he's doing.
right.
You think, especially coming from that 2020 draft class, I think what he's doing is phenomenal. Like what's going on with
Right.
Giannis. I mean,
Mm.
like the whole thing, like the discourse last week about him being an underachiever was really just distasteful. Kind of like he won a championship with the Milwaukee Bucks. If you follow the NBA 2013, you think this little skinny kid was gonna lead a team to an NBA championship? No. If you
Right.
thought this dude was gonna lead you to NBA and bulk up the way he did, he has
Right.
overachieved. Like
Right.
and the discourse behind that last week was just disheartening. Like it made me like, man, we that's irresponsible, and that's another reason why. And it's the same dude that was playing solitaire talking about something. He's a over he underachieved. He's
See,
underachieved if you don't win one championship.
it's like when Stephen A. make statements like that, it make you look at him with the side eye, like
Right.
really, because you take away that championship and that Finals MVP from Giannis. He still was a two-time MVP. He also
Yeah.
won the MVP and the Defensive Player of the Year in the same season, a feat that's only been achieved by at the time by one other player, and that was Akeem Olajuwon.
That's wrong.
No, and Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan.
MJ.
And yeah, so what are we talking about here?
Exactly.
Like, come
Why
on
don't you
now.
tell the truth? Go in detail, right? They were on their way again. You didn't pay PJ Tucker. Then the next year they lost, but y'all fired the coach. He was hurt because his brother passed away or something like that. It was a bunch of stuff that happened, and then you get you get you give it a holiday. You bring Dame in. Y'all actually was in the top two. Y'all fire that coach. Like
Asian
it's a
veteran.
lot of
Yep.
it was a lot of stuff that's there. Now
Doc.
you got Doc,
Five him with Doc.
and then now you have Doc, and we already know if you really start to pay attention, a lot of those old coaches, it's time to let them. It's time to go. Like no offense, I don't look at Ty Lue as old though. You know what I mean? But a lot of those, it's time. Like people like Doc, it's time for them to go.
Ty Lue, one of the young up and coming coaches, because he only like 48. He's young, and it's funny to think
Yeah.
like he's been around for a minute, but he's only 48. Yeah,
Right.
crazy.
But that's my only issue. They don't never tell the details, and they have everything to tell the details of why it happened. I thought they force fed us Giannis. You know what I'm saying? But because it was the Eastern Conference, I thought they force fed us. But it's not Giannis' fault. You know what I mean? It's not Giannis' fault. It's a lot of different things going on around him, and you just keep bringing all these new people in. And like I'm a LeBron fan and I'm an Allen Iverson fan. I saw when they was doing that to them. They just kept bringing all these people in, or and I'm like making all these extra moves, and I'm like, how are you supposed to grow as a team? Look at the teams that's in the finals right now. They've been together for a while. You know what I mean? Except for probably like
Siakam.
Caruso, you know what I mean, or Siakam or something like that. But
Yeah.
majority of their core had been there.
But that's the thing, and I think that's what kind of helped them because of that championship experience. They were adding
Right.
pieces to kind of help them
Right.
get to that level. But the thing, they should leave that. Bring that out. But you got to give him, you got to give Giannis his credit because he could have been left. He signed an extension, so it's just like to me,
Right.
it's just one of the things. And then now it's it's just one of those. It's just we just living in that day and age where it's all about the hot takes because we all know in our heart of hearts that's not a genuine take. Like you can't what Giannis has done in Milwaukee. Even if he was in Boston or LA, he's not going to get this. That wasn't going to happen. And plus, with a team of the nation they have around him, they're lucky they even in this position to still contend for almost 10, 15 years now because of Giannis. So it's just like it's stupid. It's stupid. It's just like it's all about the hot take. It's all about generating that. Oh well, I can get 1 million views off of this and get people get to talking because that's all it is. It's to me it's like what they call like rage bait content. That's all that is. That's rage bait content. That's all that is. It's rage bait. It's rage bait. But yeah, so we'll wrap up the show. Final thoughts. Final thoughts on social media and what you got going on. I'm gonna go with you first, X. What you
got? Nothing really going on. Like I said, it's that how you call it that dead period until college football. My socials is Instagram, Game on Images X, and my X is X_J_SR.
All right. What you got, Maui?
Oh man, I'll be here next week. Deshaun Morgan, Facebook, DT Morgan 78. Great show, man. I even love the freestyle, man. That's why I love doing this stuff. Be here next week.
Yeah. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram under Couch Coach Live. Now, as far as next week, I'm still debating what we're gonna do the show next week. I'm probably gonna possibly move it Tuesday because next Wednesday is the NBA draft. So Stay tuned. We'll post it on social media when we have a definite day that we'll do the show. Especially considering the fact Wednesday is the NBA draft. So
Wednesday and Thursday.
Yeah. So yeah, Wednesday and Thursday. So probably more than likely Tuesday potentially. But we'll post on social once we know for sure for next week. But yeah, man. So this wraps up episode 346, and we'll catch you guys next week on episode 347. And we're out.
You're welcome.
Peace.